A few years ago, I met a good friend who was kind and intelligent. Later, I found that some of her experiences and characteristics were very similar to me. At that time, there was a sentence in the space, all encounters in the world are long-lost reunions. From the perspective of past life and present life, all encounters have cause and effect. Even if there is a person who shows you the way on the road, it must be because of the good relationship you made with him in the past. Sister in the family once asked me, "Brother, do you believe in fate?" I said, "Of course I believe it. It's just that the world fantasizes about fate too much. Fate is not just an encounter in the dark, but also a fairy tale-like beauty under the starry sky. Fate is good and bad, and there is a time limit." She looked shocked. "What is the solution?" I said, "Good fate and bad fate, no fate will not get together. You see, in society, some families quarrel, domestic violence, or juniors appear every day, and finally divorce and become strangers without a shadow of happiness. I think this a bad fate. And two people, whether it is sincere friendship, love or marriage, have a time limit. Time is long and short, some are years, more than 10 years, and decades. The ancients had a cloud, 100 generations of cultivation can cross the same boat, and 1,000 generations of cultivation can sleep together. Since I saw the similarities that are extremely similar to mine from that friend, I believe that there is no meeting for no reason. Whether it is father and son, husband and wife, or friends, they must be equally lucky and have a cause, so that they can be together for a long time. What you have seen and heard about marriage a few days ago, Brother Xingchen shared his interesting experiences with me. As follows, Xingchen, brother, what I have come into contact with in my family is generally that both men and women ask for Guanyin Bodhisattva at the same time. Or the parents and family of both sides ask for Bodhisattva instead. My sister is honest. At the beginning, I taught my sister to write salutes to Guanyin Bodhisattva and beg her husband. My brother-in-law's mother believed in Guanyin Bodhisattva very much. She often went to Putuo Mountain and other places with Guanyin Bodhisattva dojo to burn incense. At the beginning, she also begged Guanyin Bodhisattva to find a good daughter-in-law. My brother-in-law's and is not just an ordinary incense burner, but also has a master in Wutai Mountain. In our small place, what I found made my sister satisfied. My sister's mother-in-law also likes her very much, and her family happens to have Buddhist disciples. I have a female senior in the same school, and my senior has a young female colleague who is studying the Earth's Tibetan method. According to my brother, the fiancé of the female colleague is a foreigner and has no house in the local area. He begs for a wife from the Bodhisattva, the king of the earth. As a result, at that time, my brother and our young brothers talked about this matter. It is said that our conditions are so good that we should ask for a wife like a bodhisattva as soon as possible. King Lianqi, the senior I know, in those years, he practiced the Dizang method, and coincidentally, his wife was also reciting the Dizang Sutra. The two of them got along by chance. Star, is it the same chi to seek each other? Is it the same to practice the earth storage method? And the divine power of the earth storage sutra in the body and mind? Or to say that it shows a part of the earth storage law in its own nature? King Lianqi, that is what you can say. Or the same frequency in the legal world attracts and senses each other. Although there are such examples in reality, they can be universally regarded. If there is a senior brother who practices Guanyin, the wife who asks to practice the earth storage method, or does not learn Buddhism. But as Xingchen said, the two people asked for Guanyin together, and finally came together very cleverly in the vast sea of people, which is by no means a coincidence. What I think of is, practice a Dharma together, seek a true nature, and the frequency of the heart is the same, and they will be together accordingly. For example, the female colleague of Xingchen's brother learned the Dizang method, and her mind and visual thought were poured into the Dizang Sutra. The fiancé on the other side, although the two of them have never met, are also begging for the Dizang Bodhisattva, and their heart is on the Jizang Bodhisattva. What will happen? At the same time, the two people's hearts are focused on the underground storage method, which will be, as the world's terminology says, co-frequency resonance. Attract each other at the same frequency, so they meet in a certain place and occasion in the world. And the specific process of this attraction, involving the secrets of the legal world, is very subtle and worth exploring in depth. Think of a case. There was a monk who was practicing the Samadhi of Amitabha Buddha at that time. The following is an excerpt from the article, The Induction of the Reciter, and the reciter Jisher said, "When I was at work, there was a female customer in her 20s. When she saw my dignified face, she didn't know what attracted her. She actually secretly took pictures of me 3 times with her mobile phone. Nowadays, almost everyone has a mobile phone. It's normal to take a few photos secretly, so I don't care about it. But when I went to bed after work, I clearly saw that the girl was missing me when I was sleeping. This picture and feeling are very clear. At this point, I completely understand that the biggest key to being born in the pure land of bliss is to remember Amitabha Buddha with sincerity. This reminds me of a few things in the past. In 2007, I had a colleague from Fujian, Mr. Liu. At that time, Liu invited me to visit his hometown in Fujian. Fujian people are very Buddhist, and monasteries are everywhere. His grandmother is in her 80s, and she is very diligent in chanting Buddha. She has been chanting Buddha for more than 30 years, and she has a relationship with me. Later, after I returned to work in Shangyu, Zhejiang province, one night, I dreamed that his grandmother was very diligent in reciting Buddha. When his grandmother recited the Buddha's name, I clearly felt that she seemed to be reciting me. In the past few days, I asked Liu, "What happened to your grandmother a few days ago?" Liu said, "My grandmother fell ill a few days ago." How do you know that she has something to do? Why did I know that her grandmother had something to do? Not only Liu is strange, but you are also strange. The reason is that I happened to practice the immeasurable light Buddha Samadhi in those days. How to practice the immeasurable light Buddha Samadhi? In those days, I recited every day when I was free, "I am the Buddha of immeasurable light." While meditating, I thought that I had become an infinite bright Amitabha Buddha. When you forget yourself with your mouth and mind, and only think that you are the thought of Amitabha Buddha, this is immeasurable light Buddha Samadhi. Liu's grandmother sincerely begged Amitabha because she was sick, so she came to me to recite the Buddha. King Lianchi, this monk practices Amitabha Buddha Samadhi, that is, he imagines himself as Amitabha Buddha. When the old woman recited the Buddha, Amitabha Buddha naturally knew it, and the resumer who thought that she was Amitabha Buddha could also perceive it. The interest here is very subtle and incredible. The priest thought that he was Amitabha Buddha, and the old woman was also reciting the Buddha. Both of them were focused on Amitabha Buddha. Be as above according to the text, co-frequency resonance, or tantrika, corresponds to yoga. The two of them had a magical correspondence, even if they were looking for marriage. Fate, the same is true for the encounter between people. There are countless people who recite Buddha in the world. Why does he correspond to the old woman? Because the two used to have a relationship. Or its fate, the difficulty of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is not destined for all sentient beings. All sentient beings and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas must be planted in order to meet Buddha and see Buddha. Otherwise, it will be born for the world. Don Ki meet the Buddha's world. As for the above marriage, the encounter between two people must have a related fate, just like in a city, a friend's friend happens to know each other. They have the opportunity to meet, have the conditions to become friends, and meet the content of asking for husband and wife, so this family was born. Corresponding to the law and depth theory, it is not only limited to the practice of Guanyin Dharma, Dizang Dharma or a certain Dharma. If you study Buddhism, you will also understand each other. If there is a Bodhi couple, you will know each other when you are released. Release is one of their common points. Another one is Xiao Guanyin, and his wife is Xiao Dizang. From a more subtle angle, it is not limited to which one is cultivated. But it has the Dharma and virtue of the original being. If a person's practice of Guanyin Dharma is very appropriate, he will correspond to Guanyin Dharma. What is the Dharma of Guanyin? Guanyin Bodhisattva is the Lord of the Lotus department, with the virtue of purity and compassion. Therefore, those who practice Guanyin will first become fellow practitioners and friends with those who practice the Guanyin system together. Furthermore, it is not necessarily a person who practices the Guanyin legal system. Even a pure and compassionate person in the world will understand and correspond to him. Therefore, a person who practices Guanyin Pyomen, seeks partners and friends, more or less has compassion, tenderness and other Guanyin Dharma characteristics. And has personality characteristics in this regard. And this partner may practice other methods. Even if he does not practice Buddhism, he must be kind. Corresponding, derived from the Indian word yoga, it has the meaning of corresponding, consistent and united. A person's heart is taken into the Dharma phase and holy name of the medicine Buddha, and he will correspond to the body, speech and desire of the world venerable. Gradually become, I am the pharmacist Lu Liguang Buddha, and the pharmacist Lu Liguang Buddha is me. It is similar to the self-view of the Tantra. The Bodhisattva once recited the Buddha's achievements, and many people who recited the Buddha's achievements also became her family saints. As the ancients said, things are gathered by kind, and people are divided by groups. Not to mention the saints who practice and achieve achievements, people in the world, and people with the same level of thought will become confidants and form their own circles. Those who recite the Great Sorrowful Mantra form a group of Great Sorrowful Mantras, and those who practice the Vajradhara Sutra form the Vajradhara Sutra to practice together. So look at your good friends and even your partners, who all come together because of something in common. As some people say, when the frequency of thoughts between husband and wife is not in the same channel, that is, the karma of separation is greater than the common factor, and the relationship is broken. Sometimes Ms. Tipa and her sister, Ms. Chi, will suddenly appear in his room when they go to see Meandra. When they leave, Ms. Tipa will occasionally go out through the closed door. If she feels very playful, she may get up from the chair and walk to the nearest wall and walk directly through the wall. How did Tipa pass through the wall? It is to enter meditation, visualize the wall as empty, and naturally pass without hindrance. Ordinary people have no meditation power, and their mental power is weak. It can be seen that the power of meditation is incredible and affects the material world. In the Langyan Sutra, it was mentioned that a saint made a water view. The disciple saw a pool of water, but no trace of the tutor. Tipa and she once joined hands to influence the operation of a bus with their magic power. One afternoon in Yangon, they waited for the bus at the bus stop. When the car finally arrived, it was an hour late, and they realized that they would miss it. There are too many agreed times. Because it was important to arrive on time, they began to arrive and let the bus arrive on time. In the state of samadhi, Makantar explained, they are determined to move the car they were in. They shorten the time and distance. This can be done. Buddha once used this kind of magic on the rice paddy. When the Mora wanted to kill the Buddha, he kept chasing the Buddha, but he couldn't catch up even if the Buddha didn't move. This is because Buddha used his magic to keep the distance between them unchanged. The law of attraction. I saw some books written in the past. Don't complain. The more you complain, the more unlucky you will be. Now that I think about it, it makes some sense. This is from the perspective of inspiration. Last time I saw some people asking for marriage for more than 10 years, but they still haven't married for several years. Some people will introduce a few partners in a few days. It's not that the practice doesn't work, but that I haven't found the right one for myself. Last time, a woman said that after reciting the empty silk magic spell, 3 men appeared a week later. Some of them recite the spells of the series of empty silk rope and the magic goddess. In a week, someone also introduced 3 objects, but they are not what they like. This involves several key points. If you ask your husband to write down your partner's requirements, improve your quality and reward yourself. That is, the welfare is equivalent, and they are husband and wife. Although many people recite spells scatteredly, they have not changed. Correct your habits and improve your quality and attractiveness. From the perspective of inspiration, I can be inspired by the desired partner. The use of origin. The peach blossom chart and peony chart written last time are actually a kind of the same frequency. When a person's observation power is insufficient, or he needs to practice the 4 career methods, he often needs to use the origin. As the world said, to solve the disaster of words and tongue, use honey to feed. What is honey? It means sweet and dense, which is just right for treating the mouth and tongue. The origin of the Dharma world is the same. In a noisy quarrel relationship, according to the interpretation of the world, its frequency is very low and negative energy. Or the 2 correspond to negative energy. At this time, honey and flowers, which represent the energy and meaning of love, are offered to the fire, so that the 2 correspond to harmony and love. Therefore, when people's visual imagination is insufficient, they can often use the origin to assist in the cultivation of the method. In the Morizhi Heavenly Law, if 100,000 lotuses are used to protect the MO, this person is determined to get the noble position. I know that lotus is a noble and noble meaning. Burning a lotus flower to offer will enhance the noble blessing of this person, or correspond to the noble. Burned 100,000 flowers, accumulated enough blessings, and also gained a high position. If we talk about the corresponding way in depth, the present and the future can correspond, and the heart can correspond. Some seniors dream of me. Or before I write an article, someone will dream in advance, which is a kind of correspondence after reading my article and becoming confident. For example, some people, if something happens to their relatives, they will sense it, which is for telepathy. The cause of relatives is very deep, and most of them can be sensed before something happens. In addition to the correspondence between people, there is also the correspondence with each important legal world. For example, I meet some people who hold spells and can talk to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is actually not a good thing, unless it is achieved. But most of them are attached by spirits and ghosts. This corresponds to the spirit ghost. For practice, we should correspond to the Buddha and Bodhisattva to free the reincarnation of life and death. Corresponding to the heavenly department, it meets the needs of wealth and various uses. Correspond to positive energy and live a better life. Learning Buddhism should be the more you practice, the less worry and the more joy you are, instead of delusions, habits and pain. Finally, I will briefly introduce some ideas. When the relationship between the two people is very rigid, the family quarrels, and the child doesn't listen, they visualize the tricks of the goddess. Or the Buddha's mother, releasing red light, shining on each other, removing the black karma, and making people happy. On the principle of inspiration, as follows: 1. It is very important to hold a spell and contemplate and focus on it. It can sense people and things at different levels, and can correspond to different Dharma worlds. When our body, speech, and even our wishes are consistent with those of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, we can correspond to them and get great blessing. 3. The origin of offerings is very important. Offering and printing different origins will have different origins in reality. Love, flowers, honey, red things call, silk rope, salt game, rare pearls, yellow things seeking for a child, pomegranate held in the hands of the ghostess mother cure disease. White food, such as milk protection, can cure the disease and extinguish the tongue, honey early marriage, bow and arrow to defeat demons, King Kong pestle.